Well, Pastor Dollison, thank you so much for participating in our 2023 virtual candidate meet and greet. By purchasing your video interview, you have allowed our chamber to educate the citizens of Winter Haven about the upcoming election and the issues and candidates on the ballot. So thank you again for that. Since your campaign has purchased a video interview, the Florida Division of Elections does require you to disclose that fact with the following statement.
This is paid for by the Clifton Dollison for Commission Seat 5.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you. Now, before we jump into the questions, I do also have to disclose that because the chamber is nonpartisan, we do not endorse candidates. This is just for education purposes. So let's jump into it. So first question, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're running for city commission.
Well, I've been around for a while, so I'm kind of I've been in this area for the last 31 years. But I am a Hoosier by birth, born in Muncie, Indiana, one of 9 children that my mother and father had. We lived in Muncie and grew up in Richmond, Indiana, partly there. And we ultimately moved to Indianapolis and graduated high school there. And then I left from there, moved on to ISU, Indiana State University, during the Larry Bird era. So I was in school during during that time in the heyday. And but during that time, I met the love of my life, Valerie Bush, now Dollison, and we fell in love and sang in the gospel choir there, and the Lord blessed us to have 3 wonderful children. And we stayed in Terre Haute for a while after graduating. And then we were summoned here, or called to pastor here. Her father was instrumental in turning my application to this church. and I came here in 1992, and my children were very young, 7, 5, and 2. So young family, new to Winter Haven. I really had never spent any time here before, but my wife, grew up right down the road from here. So, she had great appreciation for this area, coming to the barbecue stand and to Andy's Igloo and all of that over the years when she was growing up. So that's kind of been my experience, my work experience. I worked in various capacities. I was a former director at a school for boys, Father Jabal School for Boys in Terre Haute. I worked there as a program director, also as a counselor as well. I've also been an Allstate insurance agent. Did that for a while, and I worked at Ivy Tech College there in Terre Haute. They have a campus throughout the state. I was actually a instructor there, and then before I came here, I actually worked for the Department of the Navy as a labor and relations and employee relations specialist for the Department of Navy. And so I've had a kind of a varied background as it relates to my work. But when I was called here, I actually came to Winter Haven actually to do full-time pastoral work. So that's what I've been doing for the past 31 years. Again, my wife, Valerie, she's also been employed with Mid-Florida Credit Union for the past 31 years. She's one of the area managers for this side of the county. And our children now are grown. And we actually have, one of my children is in New York. She's a singer and been a Broadway performer. My son, Bradley, is a police officer, sergeant in the Lakeland PD. And my youngest son is an educator working at the Polk Collegiate here in Winter Haven. And we are blessed now with 5 grandchildren.
Wow.
And last one was just born about 2 months ago. So Asher James was just born recently, our only grandson.
Wow, that's awesome. Congratulations.
A little bit, I guess, why I'm running. I've been a part of Winter Haven for a long time. I've served in various capacities when the city has called upon me to, excuse me, to serve in various boards. Actually, when I came to Winter Haven, we were actually still doing I was part of the desegregation oversight, which was related to the county. Amazing that we were still doing something like that, that during that time. But I was part of that, and I've worked on other, been on part of the housing board. Currently I'm on the CRA board for the city. So I've been working, and I've been, I guess, my one of the greatest opportunities I've had. I have been chaplain for the Winter Haven PD for over 25 years.
Wow.
We had an officer that was killed several years ago, and during that time, we established the chaplaincy program. And Father Fred Roos and I were the initial pastors who would start the chaplaincy, and I've been a part of that for the past 25 years. So I've served my city in so many different ways and capacities, and so this is another opportunity for me to do what I've been doing. I see as an extension of the work that I've been able to give and the service I've been able to give to my city. And I feel that this would be a great time for me to at least try and do what I can to help even more.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. What do you believe are our city's greatest strengths?
I think, for the past 31 years, I've been living in Winter Haven. So um, I think the joy of living here and growing our family here has been the fact that Winter Haven is centrally located. We're literally centered between Tampa and Orlando, and this is a very appealing place for a lot of businesses and companies to come. We've seen that growth coming to the area in the last several years. Wonderful inroads, to one of the fastest right now, one of the fastest growing areas in our nation. And we believe that this will continue to grow as well. But I think one of the appeals is that even though we're growing as fast as we are, but you still have that small town appeal to those who still want to come and grow their families, their businesses, and have that wholesome family friendly environment. But one of the statistics that I noticed recently is that a lot of young people are actually moving here. So that really is encouraging to me, and I really thought that was a just great to hear that and to know that for our city going forward.
So, kind of on the flip side, what do you think are our city's greatest challenges?
You know, I think we talked about the greatest strengths, and I think one of the things, and I'll get to that in just a second. But the fact that we're growing our children here, our children have grown up here, and as well as our grandchildren are growing up here, and they're attending the public schools. They are part of the fabric of Winter Haven. My children work in this community, and my wife and I work in this community. So, we're definitely a part of Winter Haven. I think some of the challenges that we share or that we have as a community, as I mentioned earlier, that we are experiencing this expansive or explosive growth. And that type of growth will require us, to one, understand that there will be expenditures for expanding infrastructure, and also recognize that even our city may have to expand its own boundaries as well, know about incorporations and other aspects of our city. But we know that growth in and of itself is not a bad thing. In fact, it's a good thing, but it will challenge us to manage the growth, to ensure that, one, we maintain some of those historic neighborhoods and landmarks that really gives our city the character that people have grown to love and appreciate.
Awesome. Well, you kind of just touched on this a little bit. But I feel like definitely growth is, the big topic of conversation. It's the number one thing that people, that we hear people, not necessarily worried about, but they're just talking about it because it's true. Winter Haven's growing and Polk County is growing as a whole. So what role do you believe that the city commission plays in managing for that growth, for planning for that growth?
Well, the city commissioners work with the city manager, and I think it's vitally important that what we do with the city manager and incorporation and with the city manager, as well as the staff and also other stakeholders in our city, and looking at how we can use different strategies to one, I think, or several things to promote and protect the health and the natural resources, as we mentioned earlier, as well as making our community even more attractive, economically strong, and socially diverse. And because our world is changing, we're seeing that happen. It's
Mhm.
changing rapidly, and so I think we have to be current. We need to keep up. We also know that we do have the 2035 comprehensive plan addresses some of those issues of growth management, and I think we'll certainly be looking at that because I think it deals with it in a very prudent manner. But I think in working together with our staff, with our current city manager, I think that that is the responsibility of the commission.
Awesome. Well, what do you feel that the city commission's top three priorities should be coming into this new year and new era of the city commission?
I think, uh, as mentioned, economic growth
Mhm.
is important. Um, Sustainability of employment. I am a strong advocate of small businesses. My daughter-in-law has a small business, and she started her business actually during the time of the pandemic, and she's done well. And I applaud her effort in anyone who desires to take that plunge and take that leap because I think that really enhances our city, and we're seeing that kind of growth and development here. So I think, and it creates opportunities for jobs for others as well, because when we see small businesses growing, we know that job opportunities are certainly made available, as well as we want to continue to encourage the entrepreneurial spirit, and hopefully others will take hold of that. The other aspect of it, I think, is that number two, I think, would be the infrastructure and transportation improvements.
Mhm.
One of the things with growth, we're recognizing that there are, we're seeing transportation oil, we're seeing our traffic for real, really, changed. Our traffic patterns have changed. And, we used to anticipate when many who would come down in Winter Haven, which were called snowbirds, that we would see an increase in traffic. But now that we're seeing that kind of all the time. And so I think that's something that we'll have to look at in terms of our infrastructure and how we can improve those transportational improvements. As well as, I guess, finally, that maintaining, again, our natural resources. I was able to go to one of the forums, and in fact, we were at the chamber for, they were talking about water.
Mhm.
And I listened very intently to what they had to say because, and one thing that caught my attention was that, no water, no community. One of the greatest resources, and people say, well, we've got 32 lakes, or how many lakes we've got. This is the chain of Lake City, and it is. And there's plenty of water around here, but that's the whole point of it. We want to make sure that as we grow, as we develop, and become even a greater city, that we do have those resources available to us. And without the water, which is essential to life itself, we will not be able to make it. So we know that there are plans, there are already things in place, because you can't do this starting today. This is something that has to be planned for long term. And I think that's one of the major efforts that we want to make sure that to maintain those natural resources so we can maintain the quality of life so that we can continue to live the kind of lives that we enjoy today.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, my final question is why should voters vote for you over your opponents?
I believe that for me, and I can only speak for what I feel led to do, what I feel called to do, and I've served the county and working for change, positive change throughout Polk County. I'm part of Peace Polk County, which is a grassroots organization that seeks to organize people and really church people who really care about issues that really matter to everyone. And I've been a leader in that organization for a number of years. And I was motivated to really be a part of that group because, when you recognize that healthcare was a challenge for many within our community, and we fought and we're able to see the half-cent sales tax, successfully approved, and which brought monies of desperate monies that were needed to deal with healthcare issues. We championed 5 clinics that would be built. One of the clinics is literally walking distance from my church. Housing issues, the workforce housing challenge that many people, 4,000 children, we discovered were homeless in our county. We said that's unacceptable. And what can we do about it? So we got together and said, listen, we can make things happen. We challenged our cities, our city officials, say, listen, in Lakeland, we want to see 500 units. In Winter Haven, we want to see 150 units. And let me tell you, both cities did step up. And across the street, that noise that we were talking about earlier happens to be the housing complex, that they're building literally right outside my office door. So I've been involved with a lot of things that I think have brought positive change to Polk County as a whole. Mental health, our children not being able to read at grade level, and I mean pertinent, important issues. Right now, we're thinking about elder care. The concerns about our elderly and whether or not they. We also know that we're seeing cost of things go up, significantly. So I think for me, just being able to be a part of how we can further bring positive change. And I talk about servant leadership, and that's because it's not about me. It's about the greater good of what we can do to make Winter Haven the best place anyone would desire to come and live. So I'm running because I believe that this is my opportunity to bring that kind of leadership to our great city. And I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. I hope that the Lord will bless me to have the opportunity and the chance. And if he doesn't do it in this capacity, I'm already working. I will continue to work for our city.
Awesome. Well, is there anything else that you would like voters to know?
I would like every voter to know that I'm not a politician, that may sound kind of a loaded situation, but the fact of the matter is, I have been a pastor teacher. This is my 40th year of actually preaching, 38 years as a pastor. I pastor one of the great churches in Winter Haven, one of the historical churches in Winter Haven. We are celebrating our 142nd year
That's
as
amazing.
ministry. It is. And we have a historical marker from the state that we'll be erecting. One of the things that's noted in that our church was established in 1881 by and organized by a former enslaved people.
Wow.
And the church was called the First African Baptist Church. So we have a great history. I'm number, I think, 15th of the pastors that have served this church. And so it's been one of my greatest honors to serve some of the best people and work in one of the best communities anyone can find in the state of Florida, and I would say even throughout the nation. So thank you so very much for the opportunity.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for joining us today. And just a quick reminder that Election Day is November 7th. That's a Tuesday. So just a couple of weeks. If you need more information about your polling locations, you can find that on the Polk County Supervisor of Elections website. But thank you so much again, Pastor Dollison, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. God bless you.